All right, now cancel, cancel, cancel. If you've been in Unity for a while, you know we don't say things like, I still haven't found what I'm looking for over and over again. We say, I have found, I am in what I'm looking for, and I am ready to see it. But what that song makes perfectly clear is the human condition, doesn't it? The human condition that when engaging with the spiritual condition is that which is completely whole and perfect in every moment. That condition which knows all love, knows it is a channel of love and an eminence of love, knows that there is no separation. There is only oneness. But the human condition, right, is one where it's like we walk around and we go, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Right? That there's something missing. I'm doing something wrong. There's a problem here. Anyone ever been in that place? Right? We fall in and out of it, don't we? Grace slides us back into these moments of presence, but part of the human condition is walking around with ideas and concepts that there is something missing, that we still haven't found what we've been looking for. So think for a moment in your life where that applies. Because it applies, doesn't it, to each of us somehow. There's something I'm supposed to be looking for or something I'm supposed to have that I don't. There's something I'm supposed to be thinking, doing, saying, being. Something's off. That is part of our exploration for this Adventures in Spirituality, of recognizing that in moments where we haven't found what we're looking for, like the book that I have that's supposed to be up here so that I can read from it, and my notes. The universe is cute. Do you believe that even in moments where you feel like, you still haven't found what you're looking for, that you are swimming in a sea of significance, a sea of significant experiences, that just beyond your vision, just beyond your experience, just beyond your sight, they're right there. You know they're right there. Right? So how do we get to them? How do we get to them? All we truly need to do, right, is to pause and become present, because there are more than enough moments of significance to carry us through a sea of insignificance that stands in front of us. But what often happens in the human condition is we spend so much time in the insignificance that we miss the moments of significance. You know, there's something that happens to me sometimes as a spiritual leader when people come to me for support and they see me busy or running around. And pretty frequently they say, I'm sorry to bother you and I don't want to take your time, but this is what I have going on. Can you be present with me in it? But, you know, I don't need that much of your time, and, you know, I don't want to be a burden, but could you just a couple minutes? And you know what I say every time? Like, this is what I'm here for. This is what we're all here for. If we're here to be answering emails, returning other calls that aren't like that one, if we're here to be doing PowerPoints and planning things and doing all of that, then, you know, what is that? What we're here for is to recognize, right, those moments that matter and to stop the world. Who has had a moment in their lives or a moment in supporting someone else that they have literally just thought, how did I just get this information? How did I just get this news? And the world is still turning. How are people still driving and running around? How is there anything else to do? How does everything not just stop? One of our most sacred callings is to just stop. Is to just stop. Is to watch for those moments. Watch for it in people's eyes. Watch for it in their words. Watch for it in the moments and be prepared for it. Prepare with going to a spiritual practice on Sunday and carrying that practice throughout the day so that there is not so much chaos in your mind that that moment comes right up to you and says, can I see you? Can I talk to you for just a second? And you go, well, And it doesn't matter, does it, if it's someone at a cash register when you're checking out, or if you're the person at the cash register checking someone out. It doesn't matter where it is or when it is, right? But if we are present, God moments are all around, and we are called to minister and to be ministered to in every moment. And when we are present to that, it doesn't matter what's going on. Not that it doesn't matter in the human sense. It doesn't matter in that there is this flow and this rhythm within us that has balance, that has so much love, that has so much fullness, that even in the midst of what we might call brutal, what we might call awful, what we might call beautiful, whatever it is, name it, even in the midst of all of those things, there is this fullness and this gratitude. The yin and the yang are balanced. And we are right there in our bodies, but with the fullness of our spirit. Amen? We deserve to live in this way. And of course, we're going to go up and down with the human condition. Of course, we're going to fall in and out of it. That's one of the things we're here for. Does anyone get messages from the universe? There's two ways to read that. Everyone gets messages from the universe. But if you know what I'm talking about, Tut.com. He sends out these messages from the universe. And I haven't gotten one in a long time, but I got this one in. It was very timely. It says, until you dream, Erin, there isn't a mold. Until you speak, there isn't a promise. And until you move, there isn't a path. Yet do these simple things, Erin, and you totally own me. Friendsters forever, the universe. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, talked about it as the carnal mind, the spiritual-centered being, and then the carnal mind, this, wild mind that goes to all different places that does not always serve us. And he talks about having, like a vigilance for that mind, of bringing that mind into alignment, using it not to drive ourselves crazy. And some of us don't think that we drive ourselves crazy. We think other people do it without realizing we drive ourselves crazy through other people. But anyway, that's a whole nother talk for another day. So he talks about the need to learn about that mind, to steward it so that it can be used for service, so that it can be used for its divine purpose, its sacred service. And our thoughts and our emotions, that feeling body that creates, is a tool. It is our most magnificent and our most powerful tool. And so many of us underutilize it. So many of us leave it right there and go wailing and flailing through life. And this is not a criticism of wailing and flailing. I wouldn't be up here if I wasn't a wailer and a flailer. I have probably people online that are going, tell them. When we become present to the moments of our lives, there is a shift. If you have heard, which you probably have, of the author Maxwell, or the purpose-driven information, this is out in a whole bunch of ways, but there are teachings about how to live a more grounded, centered, conscious, mindful, intentional life. And a lot of those teachings will always go into having us look at what's urgent versus not urgent, what's important versus unimportant, and trying to be in a quadrant with that where you're really looking at what's important in your life, right? And that if we let go of the things that are important, we'll end up just in the minutia. And we can wake up and have our whole lives kind of fly by and realize, wait. Like, there was this beautiful train, and it was running through valleys and streams, and it went across bridges, and it had different people coming on and off the train, and I was driving the recycling garbage truck, just picking up trash and bringing it to the dump, picking up trash and bringing it to the dump, picking up trash and bringing it to the recycling, which is much better than the dump. But anyway, that's another talk for another day. Hands-free life, 9 habits for overcoming distraction, living better, and loving more. Rachel Macy Stafford. I chose this book for this series, not because it's a book that everyone's heard about or that all Unity people are talking about. I chose it from the selection of books because every time I opened it, my heart broke open and expanded. Every time I opened it, no matter where I was, I cried. And I don't think that is just a reflection of my state of mind at the time or right now. And I might cry, so get ready. We have tissues? You might cry. Probably not today. All right. It's because I just play the ukulele. You know, give it up for all those people that play the ukulele. We're here demonstrating our vulnerability, which we're asking and inviting you to do in these small spirit groups. We're asking you to be vulnerable and you to step out there and you to share. And so in honor of that, we energetically blessed this temple with a bunch of us that most of us don't even actually know how to play the ukulele. So kudos, because that's what this is about. It's an adventure in spirituality. So she says this. She talks about checking in with her emails, and she compiled, she says, every email message she'd ever received from individuals who wished they could turn back time. She says, I simply typed the word regret into my subject line, the subject search, and with that, I hit the mother lode. I read the messages one by one, real stories of real people with wishes that could never come true. I wish I hadn't spent so much time working. I wish I'd spent more time getting to know my kids. I wish I'd developed a relationship with my sister when I had the chance. I'm going to cry. You could cry with me if you want to. It's good stuff here. I wish I would have forgiven my mom a lot sooner. I wish I would have said, I'm sorry once in a while. I wish I would have said I love you every chance I had. In another section, she says, although we've been led to believe that our fondest memories are made in the grand occasions of life, in reality, they happen when we pause in the ordinary, like that. Thank you, Marianne. In the ordinary, mundane moments of a busy day. She goes on to say, although we're inundated with the advice to cherish every moment to the point that it sounds meaningless, something powerful happens when you read the regrets of people with real names and real pain. Their heartbreaking truth wakes you up. In the introduction, so you get a feel for this adventure this year. She says, keeping track of life is knowing you're on your true path to fulfillment. It is being at peace with who you are and how you are living. It's placing your head on the pillow at night and knowing you've connected with someone or something that made your heart come alive. It's investing in what really matters, understanding full well that managing life is the tendency, but living life is the goal. Keeping track of life is much more than going through the motions and putting down the phone, burning the to-do list, and letting go of perfection. It's something deep, lasting, permanent. It is a conscious decision to focus on what really matters when a sea of insignificance tries to pull you away. This is what she says happens when we begin to swim in that sea of insignificance, what Charles Fillmore would talk about when we become absorbed with the human condition rather than ignited by the spiritual condition. When we become consumed, she says, by these corrosive yet virtually unseen distractions, we stop asking questions. We fail to assess if we are on the right path towards our life purpose. We become complacent and accept that this is just the way it is, despite the emptiness and stress that keeps us awake at night. Before we know it, we lose track of what matters in life, only to later realize we've accomplished much but lived little. We all yearn to look back on our lives to find we've lived a life of significance. So I was checking my emails recently, which, believe it or not, I do if you've tried to email me every once in a while. And I have this little thing, right, because I've begun to have not even a love-hate, just a relationship with email. Cancel. But anyway, I have this little trick that I VIP. I have a little VIP star, and I VIP the board members, I VIP the staff, I VIP the music team, I VIP anyone that is going to email me that I have to see it, that I know it's going to come in and I have to see it. So then I have a short list of emails to check, right? and then all the others flood in. And then every once in a while, I pull an all-nighter, and literally till like 4 or 5 in the morning, I'm going through hundreds of emails, right? Even with all the extra filters, because I've done the fancy thing that says, put your social stuff here, put your whatever here, and you can just go click delete it all in those sections. But even with that, hundreds of emails. Oh, it's me. So, cancel. I was going through them this week, doing my making sure. Are you sure I didn't miss something? There are a few things that I hadn't gotten that I thought I was going to get that I was just making sure. Are you sure it's not in there? Sure it couldn't have gone in any other folder? And as I did, I get a cry again. I love adventures in spirituality. Being vulnerable, especially, it's not really my thing. You might be surprised by that, but yeah. So, when I went through that email list, I found some emails from my sisters. I found an email from my cousin who lives in England thanking me for taking the time to come out to be with my aunt after my uncle died. My aunt that has the early onset Alzheimer's, who is one of my sacred beloveds, as was my uncle, my Aunt Eileen and my Uncle Bob. And I missed that email where he said a few kind words and made an effort and took the time to send it to me. And I got an email from my little brother, who's a fish head. And if you don't know what that is, it's a concert that goes on forever and ever. It's like a jam band. And so whenever there's a concert, he counts on me to help him get good tickets. I have a job of getting on at whatever, exactly 7 o'clock when they go on sale and get this many tickets, and then, then he can go to these concerts and have the best seats or whatever. He's turning 30 this year, and I missed it. I had an email from my dad about going to see my aunt and about spending time together, and I had said something about ideas of us getting together, and then I saw another one from him to the whole family that talked about possibly taking a trip to Ireland together, and that he figured out how we could get the 8 million of us that are in my family on that trip, because he usually goes every year with the immediate family, and they haven't been able to think, how could we get, there's so many of you now. How are we going to get around? But he had an idea, and he kind of figured it out and invited the family to go, and I missed that. And what I realized in that moment was that I VIP'd my work, and I didn't VIP my family and my closest friends, which don't email me because they know me very well. Clearly my family needs to know texting is better. Actually, because I still didn't VIP them, I'll have to tell them, no, I'm going to do it. But anyway, it'll probably be 5 months from now. How many times do we miss the sea of significance we're swimming in because we're busy or we're multitasking with sometimes amazing and beautiful and important things? Deep breaths. There is a practice in Buddhism where you go through your own death, and you do it while you're alive. And you really embody that practice of moving through that energy of, I have passed off of this planet, I have passed through the veil. And I think part of the beauty of that ritual or that practice, that experience, is so that we can be so present to this one. I have a couple of friends that are going through diagnoses of serious cancel medical issues. And I have the honor of being able to support them, being asked to be there. to physically hold their hands and spoon and snuggle and do everything that needs to be done. I tell you that not to increase any worry or concern, because that's ordinary. You hear what I'm saying? We all have things that can scare us and make us worry. Think of whatever it is on your mind right now that we could call brutal or awful or don't want it to be happening. We put them in the room, in the cyberspace, not so that we can be scared or worried with each other, but because we know the power of our standing together. We know the power of our joint consciousness, because we know the power of the extraordinary creatures and creations that we are. Amen? So we come together in a spiritual capacity to be extraordinary, to let all of the other stuff breathe and move through us, to move through our fields, but to stand together in our power. So I invite you right now for a moment to take anything that is on your heart or your mind, anything that needs to be released, healed, revealed, loved on, snuggled, spooned, hugged, eliminated, prayed up, prayed for, that needs the removal of fear, worry, concern, dis-ease. Hold the situation, the person, the experience, hold it right there. If it's yourself, hold yourself with both arms. We dedicate this moment of silence to the power within each of us to come together where two or more are gathered. There is a magnificent, mighty, mighty, mighty power for good. This power heals. This power reveals the truth. This power can change the very cellular fabric of a being, of a body temple. This power can draw in divine appointments that one could not imagine, could not even think of paying for or creating or orchestrating. This power transforms. This power rushes in to be a sweeping body of angels that carry you in moments where you need to be carried. This power is like the Footprints poem. When there is one set of feet in the sand, that is where I carried you. We pause for the power of this silence. And so it is. Amen. So this week, the invitation, the grand invitation, is about investing. I took some time a little while back to inventory my life, what had come before and what was coming after. And I have a lot of amazing friends, incredible friends in my life. And I have a lot of people here. But in her book, she talks about the emergency contact list. And who's on your emergency contact list? Who could you call at 3 a.m.? And does anyone have you on that list? And in my inventory, there weren't as many people that were physically in my presence that were on that list. Most of them lived in Oregon, California, New York, Florida, Wisconsin. And so I stopped, and I looked around at what was in front of me, and I started investing. And I invested in relationships that I saw light in, so that I could generate a better future, so that when there's raccoons in my house scaring me in the middle of the night, someone would pick up the phone that could actually drive over. I don't know why I'm ridiculous today. I really don't have any idea. Well, I only got 5 hours of sleep. That could be it. But don't feel bad for me. That's normal sometimes. Anyway, half stand-up, half sermon. in Hands-Free Life, Rachel tells this story. She says, I had the rare treat of being alone in the car with my 10-year-old daughter, Natalie. We were coming back from an outing, just the two of us. I was taking the curves of a meandering country road at the pace of a leisurely Sunday drive. The sun was setting and we were talking. In the midst of a discussion on how to pass a driver's test, Natalie heard the first 3 notes of her latest favorite song faintly drifting from the car speakers. "Turn it up, Mom, I love this song," she exclaimed. Natalie immediately began singing without restraint, as if she was alone in the car and no one else's opinion mattered, as if she suddenly discovered the liberating freedom that comes from windows open on a warm summer night. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my computer whiz, my studious planner, my competitive swimmer, my banker extraordinaire. I would fully expect this musical outburst from my ukulele-playing younger daughter, but not Natalie. I couldn't remember the last time Natalie sang uninhibited like this, perhaps when she was 3 or 4 years old. She goes on to say, suddenly a painful commentary went through my head. I know I can't possibly cherish every moment. I know it's not realistic to neglect my life's responsibilities and soak up every word and every expression of my family members and friends. I know that telling myself to savor every stage of childhood or every season of life is just setting myself up for failure. So what do? How do I realistically live life now to avoid the pain of regret later? As I looked in the rearview mirror, my daughter's chocolate brown eyes met my gaze. With a sudden sense of urgency, I felt an opportunity staring me right in the face. Stop thinking, what if, and sing before the song ends. Amen? This little young one came to me this week. This is a beloved that I know, and this video came to me this week. And he was at a sporting event of his sister, watching his sister, I think, run track. And his mama's behind him. I'm pretty sure it's his mama. And he's just watching her run track. And there he's just he's better than I am, doing the dance of life. Would you stand up with me for a second and just shake this off? Are you ready to live out loud? Are you ready to live a hands-free life? Are you ready not to miss the moments? Are you ready to sing and dance? Oh, and the people said, amen.